Okay, yeah. Welcome to the Christmas edition Q&A trial number 2.
Yep.
Part 3.
Part 3. Ryan's in the room.
What's up in the
Yeah,
house?
what's
up, Ryan?
Hey
Hey,
guys.
Defeated sickness.
I did.
Defeated sickness, and I want to hear about your sweater real quick.
Oh yeah.
Show us that.
Today we're rocking some Baham Pug.
Oh,
It's a vest too. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a sweater
it's-
vest.
It's
which
definitely
is really,
a
it's
woman's
hugging
vest.
him. Yeah, it's hugging him real nice.
it's
Yeah.
encouraging though.
It's nice.
And Nick's in nothing.
Yes.
Well-
and it will stay that way.
All right. Yeah, I brought plenty of clothes for you to Christmas clothes for you to wear because I got my Snoopy and Snowman
You'll
chilling.
be chilling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
What about you, Noah? What are you rocking with
We
today?
got Santa with
That
the golf
is-
cart number 25.
let me just say, Noah wins the day
He
for
absolutely
that right
does.
there.
It's
I
like
don't
the
know if I
fuzzy
do.
beard.
I feel
That's
like that's
nice.
just vintage, and this is trying to be vintage.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's
thanks.
a good point.
And Ryan gets the win, I think.
Yes. Yes.
So, like I said, this is the Q&A episode, Christmas edition. I have one question to start us off before we get into it,
Okay.
and it's for Nick Bowen. Nick Bowen, what was it like dating my wife in high school?
Ooh.
Oh, we'll be right back.
Well, your wife would probably say that I was a terrible boyfriend, so
That's
She
why you're
didn't
not
say
dating.
that.
let's just stick with that. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, we've been friends for what,
Yeah.
2-3 months?
Yeah, it's not
That's
been long.
not how you want to
It's not you want to start a
the
friendship.
friendship by saying, "Hey, man, by the way, dated your wife in high school."
Yeah. Sorry, bro. Now, how about the other day when I invited you over to the house?
So
yeah,
Michael,
tell the
Michael
story.
texts me. He's like, "Hey, you want to bring the kids over? We can play football or whatever.
Ride dirt bikes and
I'm like,
golf balls.
Yeah,
the
dude,
standard stuff.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, I'll be there. What time?" He tells me the time, and he's like, "Do you need directions, or do you need the address?" I was like, "Nope."
Nope. I know where she
And then
lives.
I was like, "Oh no, he's gonna ask me why I said nope, and I'm gonna have to explain this." But he didn't,
So-
and
No,
it,
I didn't.
So
True, bro.
here we are.
Here we are. I just had to get that out there. People
You
needed to know.
guys are very grown up.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
needed to know.
Good job.
Yeah.
People needed to know. Okay, we're in it. This is it. Q&A episode. I'm going to start us off with a funny one before we get into the real
Sure.
heavy stuff about fatherhood and parenting and marriage.
Being a man.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Who is each of y'all's favorite TV or movie dad? My wife asked this question.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, I'm gonna go first.
Your ex-girlfriend asked this question.
How about Will Ferrell from Kicking and Screaming?
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's good.
That's a
seen
good
that
one.
one?
No.
Okay.
Oh man,
I need.
that's-
Wait a minute. Wait. You haven't seen Kicking and Screaming?
No, I don't. What?
Oh,
What happens
man.
in that?
Well-
He's a dad.
He's a little more than a dad. How
He's
would
a
you
coach.
How would you explain it?
I think it's a window into what is it like to be a dad that coaches their kid in rec sports.
ultra competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Kicking and screaming.
people
literally.
laugh at the way Will Ferrell depicts this dad. But a little bit, you're kind of like,
Yeah, that's.
I
me.
think in my chest, I would be just like that
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, that
Right.
is
Full sale.
that
Just
is
send
me.
it.
That is me. Like
Yes.
I'm afraid to become.
I can't coach my
am
kids
him.
because I will beat him.
That's why I don't coach my kids because I know I'm going to be Will Ferrell.
No shot. No shot. What about you? Anybody else? Favorite dad TV on movies?
I mean, just because we were joking about Christmas stuff. I mean, a good Clark Griswold.
Oh,
that
yeah.
man
That's
would
what I
do
was gonna
anything
say.
for those kids.
Yeah,
I'm
that was
pretty sure-
yours, right? Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the MVP for sure.
Joy to the world. Yes. He is
Didn't
the
I
goat.
texted you guys a picture, right?
Yeah.
Just me and my daughter watched that recently, and I felt like I christened the movie for her. I'm like, we're going to watch this together, and fast forward through one part. 'Cause
Yeah,
she's 11.
the pool scene.
Yes. And but she actually laughed though. She thought it was funny when
Are you Santa Claus?
everything explodes in the background at the end, and they all start singing the national anthem, and she was cracking up. So
For someone special.
That is all time.
See no line there. Go ahead.
I think Adam Sandler like in any dad
Oh,
role.
yeah,
and
Big Daddy.
we kind of
Big
got an
Daddy.
influence from
Click?
Jake. Yeah, Click is very relatable.
Yep.
That's a sleeper.
That
People
is a
forget about
sleeper.
Click.
That's a good movie.
Haven't seen that in a while. Grown Ups.
Oh, Grown Ups
I'm not
obviously
I
dope.
didn't really like those movies that much.
Big
but
Daddy.
Yeah, you come back. Big Daddy's great.
know.
But Jake Hess, one of our friends,
Shout out Jake.
who's a For the Dads podcast guy, actually said Adam Sandler. And I-
Oh, nice.
Remember last time
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
it? Yeah. So, but that was mine. And I think like him in any dad role is undefeated.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Undefeated.
What about Bandit from Bluey?
Oh yeah, but that's like a cheat code.
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
kind of the
he's
silver
good.
bullet.
That's
to the
almost
question.
too good.
Yeah. He's
That's unachievably good.
yeah.
That's
He's
aspirational.
He's really
yeah.
good
He's
dad.
incredible.
He's what we all want to be.
Just want to be
Absolutely.
a blue healer.
Yeah. You could either do like Marlin from Finding Nemo. He's a pretty
Like
good
if
dad.
For the Dads
Yeah.
was to have a mascot, it would be Bandit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
With the For the Dad's koozie in his hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just grilling out a burger.
Just yes.
We went out and
Let's
bought
mock that
Bluey
up.
diapers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're
Dad just
I mean-
dedicated.
so we're big
Okay, so
time
I
fans.
just
We're
bought
kind of
my
a big
son
deal with Bluey.
a Tennessee football shirt that says Smokey on it, and it has Bandit on there, dressed up in
Oh,
orange.
man.
That's kind of cool.
That is a shirt right there.
Dang. Did you get that on Etsy? Be honest.
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually throwing my daughter a Bluey birthday party next
There you
week.
go.
So yeah,
That's cool.
Bluey's in.
I'm dyeing my dog blue. So
Yeah, well, why not?
I'm considering buying an Australian healer just
Yeah,
because of
just
that
for
shirt.
that. And just
I'm
thinking-
considering changing my accent.
you can. Do you
Bluey.
Just change your nationality.
G'day, Bluey. Okay. All right. Anybody want to pick another question on here? I think we can just kind of bounce around.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Anybody have one
go
that's
ahead,
on the
Noah.
list that kind of sticks out to you?
Hit me.
There's a couple on here that are really good.
I think Hunter Davis had a good one.
Oh yeah, Hunter Davis. He goes to our church. Really good guy. Best advice for a first-time dad.
Yeah, that's good.
First of all, shout out Hunter Davis, who is almost a first time dad.
Yeah. Like
So
literally.
that's probably
And
why
I
he's
think
asking.
it's like in a
he's
couple
like,
months.
Hey, I need some help.
Yeah. It's in a
So-
couple months. Yeah, March.
well, Hunter, I
Yeah,
don't know
March.
if we can help you, but
Yeah. So buckle up.
Learn from our mistakes.
yeah, I think best advice for first time dad is I think you're going to be really overwhelmed. My kid is 9 months, so I'm kind of the freshest on the scene with being a first time dad. Excuse me. But I think the best thing is that you can do is communicate with your wife on what you need. Why do I have the hiccups? Why do I have the hiccups, guys? Cut this out.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll go.
There's one.
I tried not to lose it on the first one.
Yeah. You still got them? Oh no, we're leaving it in. This is perfect for this question.
I mean, this is raw right here.
Yeah, this is
Wow,
it.
I've got the hiccups. How's
This is
that
for
work?
the dads. Boo.
That was bad.
Yeah, it
Wow.
didn't work.
Yeah, this is gotta
And
cut.
start over.
Start. So, best advice for a first time dad. I'm newer with having a kid. He's 9 months now. So I'm kind of fresh off the press with it. I think the biggest thing, you're going to be really, really overwhelmed at first from being at the hospital, the whole process of pregnancy, bringing them home, and you have a kid and you just don't know what to do now.
Oh my gosh.
It's really
Scariest
overwhelming.
moment of my life.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super scary. And then you don't want to go to sleep and you're checking if they're breathing, that kind of thing. But I think the biggest thing is making sure you're in constant communication with your wife on what the baby needs, what your wife needs.
Right.
Because
That's
I've
great.
gone through this, and I feel like when we first got married, I was super independent before, but then once I got married, I relied on Taylor, my wife, to do a lot of things, and looked to her, and she pretty much took care of me. Now we bring this kid home, and now she's taking care of the baby, and I'm like, nobody's able to take care of me, so I'm like trying to
least you're
figure
honest.
out. Yeah.
At least you're honest, man.
So I'm like, I don't know what to do. So we're taking care of this baby, and it's super overwhelming. Got to communicate about everything. And I think I was like very repetitive with things. Like once you know how to do it the first time, you don't need to ask a second time. I feel like they're so mentally exhausted and drained that whatever you can take off their plate is important. And then I would say one more thing is with the marriage aspect is don't just, you're going to dedicate so much of your time to the baby, whatever that is, and it's chaos. You're getting a survival mode at times. But I think the biggest thing is date your wife again, make intentional time to be with them. You're so exhausted when you get home from work. They've been taking care of the baby all day. And then when they get back into work, if they work, it's just so mentally and physically exhausting. You're sleep deprived. You're going to get mad at each other. You're going to get angry. You just have to be patient. You have to work through and problem solve together. So I would just say make that time to not lose sight of your marriage and what's important too.
That's good.
Because your marriage did come before that kid. So have intentional time to, whether it's 10 minutes, an hour, half hour a day, just whatever that is, whatever you can work into your schedule, make it a priority to make them important, and continue to do life with them, because it's so easy to just get sidetracked.
Absolutely.
And just caught up and, oh, I'm exhausted. We're just going to throw on Netflix or whatever. So really just have those date nights if you can. If you got family close by or a babysitter, like do it, and spend time with them. So
Yeah, and I think to go off that, like, I think my answer would be, don't be surprised at how selfish you are. I think a lot of dads, especially for me, I felt a lot of dad guilt when my son came home, because I was feeling all this like internal like selfishness, like really like just straight up selfishness, because like again, me and my wife before him, it was just us. We were doing our thing. It was super fun. And now this kid's here, and it was still super fun, but it was like to do the other stuff we thought were fun were now like a way bigger hurdle or a way bigger gap in which we had to cross together. And that just like started to kind of weigh down on me. And I felt, it was like, man, I must be crazy. Like I'm actually selfish of this newborn. But I think that that's just our own like selfish nature. Like we're just selfish. And so like working through that, being open in communication with your wife, and two, like my buddy said, even just about this podcast, is that like dads are the only one made for the job, but they don't have to do the job alone. And I think one of the best things that
Robbie said that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was
Yeah,
gas,
thank
bro.
you, Robbie. Everything
the
Robbie
man.
says is just
Yeah, that was just like off the cuff, like on the phone call, and I was like, "What, bro?" Like, you know. But like one
He's
of the
like, I
things,
got plenty more.
yeah, he's just like looking through his notepad. But one of the things that I loved that I didn't take advantage of early on was asking for help from other dudes and other guys that had either right in that season with me or are way further ahead in that season. And just being like, man, like, am I going crazy? Like, do I need to do this, or how? Yeah. What are some practical ways that I can serve my wife in this way? What are some practical ways I can serve the child? What are some practical ways now that I'm with my first kid? We have Noah, and now this other one is coming. We don't know the gender yet. Still, gosh, how they're killing me. It's like now it's like, okay, so like what's the time that I'm going to make for Noah and Lev so that mom can be with the baby, and then how are we all going to do things together, like, and just asking for help with that. Hey guys, like, how do you work with that? And so don't be scared to ask for help, and don't be surprised at the emotions and the feelings that come up when you guys get home, because I remember when we got home and I laid him in his little bassinet thing, I was like, dude, what now?
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
He's just standing over it like,
Can they just sit there? Like,
I know. Did anybody else have like, I think there's a lot of like preconceived notion, like as soon as that baby is born, that you're just like this immediate like spark connection, and you're like, yes, I am dad. And it's like, you have the sword and like lightning strikes. But I didn't really feel that, right? Like, is there anybody else? Am I kind of alone in that?
No. I think, I've actually, so I think that's what I was struggling through when he first got home, was like, I was like, okay, he doesn't care that I'm in the room. You know, he literally is looking for his mom. He can smell her when she walks in the room. Like, he doesn't want me, you know. And I was like running through with all that. And I've even talked to some other dads that were just like, dude, like, is this like, you know, is this mine? Like, oh, like, how do I love it in this way? And so I don't think
harder first for me too. Yeah. I mean, I felt that like my first one, and it, you know, I was like 24, and at that time too, like I'm with you. Like I was used to being selfish. I was in a relationship. I was married, but it's like, it's fine where you're like, oh, hey, hon, like I'm going to go do this thing for a little bit. And she's like, oh, cool. I'm going to go do something then, like, you know?
Yeah.
But then when that responsibility changes and you need to like come together for your child and like start to care for them and build that relationship and build that bond together, it took like not a super long time because like once you bring home that baby, you're just like your whole world kind of opens up and so much changes like in a short amount of time. But it took that time, I'll say too. So like don't be freaked out that, you know, you don't have this like rush of like emotion or feeling right away. Like mine kind of built up slowly. And like as you spend time with your kid and you just hold them, like I think that really starts to put it all in motion.
That's really good.
I mean, I think that just goes to show you that every dad is different. Because for me, it was that sort of like light switch, you know, lightning strike as you call it. Like
that's cool though.
It just kind of hits you and your whole world changes and your priorities shift and just everything comes into focus for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say is like, you know, people may judge you based on, you know, how those priorities change. You may lose friendships and that's okay. Like, you know, your life is going to look a lot different and that is okay. I think that's the main thing is like, it's okay that, you know, you don't work out as much as you used to. It's okay that you don't have as many friends as you used to. Like,
or you get to stay out as late, or you get to go to this party, you got to go to this thing, or you get to sit into this thing.
And trust me, like you think right now, like all that sounds terrible.
Terrible
Trust
to lose.
me,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it
Promise you.
absolutely is.
That's the thing too. People are going to tell you you have to do it this way or do it this way or that way, and you know it's different for everybody.
It is.
It's different for everybody. It's different for every kid. Every kid has different needs. So there's a lot that goes into it that you just can't answer, and you just got to figure it out. Right.
And for me, like I think I kind of got a little bit of a practice round almost, like with Bray. You know, when I started dating my wife, he had just turned 1 year old. So like I kind of got a practice round with him, you know, like, and I got warmed up to it. So
it's cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
That is awesome, man. I think that goes into another question that somebody asked about priorities.
Yeah. So my buddy Steven, really close friend from back home. He's in my wedding, played baseball growing up together. He said, and he's a new dad. His son is three months old now. He said, how do you find the right balance of staying involved with stuff you like to do, hunting, golf, hanging with the boys, etc., and being at home with your son or daughter, especially when they aren't able to come along with you yet? So really heavy question. I mean, a really relatable question. I don't want to say heavy, but it's reality for all of us.
I think for me, it's like you'll know. You know, like just read the room.
Read the room, buddy.
You'll know.
Read the room.
You'll know when it's time for you to go out and have that alone time and have that time to yourself and do the things that you want to do. And you'll know when it's not time to do that.
Yeah.
By the look on your wife's face.
Let me tell you how it played out for me. It goes, first, your wife is very generous and says, oh, sure, like I want you to go do your things. I want you to be happy. And then she'll take on more responsibilities, more things, and she'll take on more and more. And then eventually she's like, where are you going? And I was like, but I thought, because I've been going every Saturday to go hang out around this time. And she's like, what? I'm dying inside. I was like, why didn't you say anything? So it goes back to Noah was saying to communicate.
Yeah,
you know, talk.
Absolutely.
You gotta talk a lot. And then eventually on the flip side, your wife will be like, you're a grumpy hot mess. You should go do something that you like to go make you happy and come back to this house in a better attitude. I'm like, okay.
I think too, like, and this is just like practical advice, and it's took me 2 kids to figure out, but me and Alyssa like literally sit down once a month at the beginning of the month and like work through, okay, when are we going to go out on a date? When are you going to go out with your friends? When am I going to, I mean, it doesn't like always fall in the perfect like cookie cutter order, but we are setting boundaries and a reality around one, I'm going to make time so that my wife can go do something. She loves to go get boba or a nice cup of coffee and read a book by herself in a coffee shop. So it's like, girl, like whenever you need to do that, let's figure that out. It's a Saturday morning, whatever it needs to be. But if I'm making time for that for her, it's like also too, okay, here are the times in which like recording a podcast at night when the kids go to bed, you know, those are things. It's like, because we talked about that. And so I think a lot of times, I'm not going to text Noah. I think me and you have talked about this before, but I'm not going to text Noah an hour before a tea time, I'd be like, "Hey, dude, like, you want to just go golf today this
Yeah.
afternoon?" Like,
for sure.
like,
Well, it's like doing this podcast tonight. We were all texting each other like, "Yeah, I need to get approval from the CEO
Yeah, for
of
real.
our family
Yeah.
first."
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
we're not just gonna
Bounce.
be like, "Hey, honey, bye." I'm recording
Yeah.
a podcast tonight, by the way. No, like
Yeah.
you got to communicate with your
Yeah.
wife, and
Yeah. And if you say you're not asking for approval, you're asking for approval. Like, we talked
and,
about
and
that
if you
before,
don't,
like,
you're probably not a very good husband.
yeah,
Check
yeah,
yourself.
I think, and it's it's teamwork, right?
Yeah, it is.
But Steven, I would say this too, like, and we can have conversations outside of here. We don't talk enough, but there's no such thing as balance. Like, in my opinion, you guys might have a healthy balance of things, but like the balance that you want, especially first off, you're not going to get, and I'm sure you can attest to it. When they get older, you're still not going to have that balance. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot, and that's, dude, I'm sorry, but that's what you signed up for, right? That's the responsibility that you took. You're going to have to take ownership in that.
And guess what? It's worth it.
It's
Yeah.
worth it.
It's so worth
you're
it.
a husband and you're a dad, and those are the main things. And then your hobbies and everything else comes secondary. So hunting, whatever, might have to wait till next year to get that big buck. I did know you got a nice buck though this year. And it's
boy.
nice. It's nice. Good job, Steve.
boy.
It's nice. It's a good looking deer. But I think too, like, maybe you guys can talk about, like, with the little ones where they can't come along with you yet. Like, I know I'm in that phase too. Like, I have taken Brooks places with just myself and him. Like, obviously, I don't know. It just depends. It depends on the event and whatever you're doing. But what's that look like too? I don't know. We can talk about that.
Yeah,
for a
I
second.
think for me, like, now it's like a joy. Like, it's just like the coolest thing. Obviously, like, my golf game it's already not that good. But like then when Lev comes wrong, it like decreases in quality. But that's not the point. I'm not going out there to shoot, super low. I'm going out there because my son wants to be out there with me, and he doesn't care if he loses the ball. I don't care if it's just we're out there doing
Unless it's the Spider-Man mark.
it. Yeah,
Me and
I'm
my
not-
dad-
I'm not messing with
Me
that.
and my
one's
dad
not
take
one.
out my 4 boys, and we're like, this is really good practice because they're distracting the heck out of us. Like,
Go ahead and talk in my backswing.
this is just Oh, it's every single Dad. I'm like mid swing. Dad.
But it
Can I
becomes
get another one?
Yeah, and it becomes a joy. And I think it goes back to whether it's you're taking the kids with you or you're trying to set boundaries with your spouse, like lower your expectations. Because if you try to set these super high expectations of like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, a kid's going to get sick, you're going to get sick, your wife's going to get sick, something's going to come up, and then it's just going to kind of all unravel in front of you. And if all of your weight is upon this one thing, like, you gotta lower your
It's
expectations.
important too, and I'll say this, like, to kind of, I guess, wrap up this question, but it's important to create buffer within your schedule if you're able to. I understand work gets crazy, time with your kids gets nuts and chaotic, especially when you have more. But just like in the beginning of the month, you said you were planning things out. Taylor and I just have designated times in our schedule. We try to create a buffer of, if we want to go do this, then we can. But then I know we talked about the communication portion of, okay, maybe I need to plan out a week in advance of golf, right? Maybe a few days in advance. The spontaneous,
Maybe a day if it's really
maybe
nice
a day.
outside.
The spontaneous stuff is not as likely to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just not. But
It
you
did work
through
the
it.
other day though.
It did. Yeah.
It was like it was one of those moments where I was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna shoot my shot because it's been 12 degrees outside, and one day it's 55." And I was like, "Boys, it's 55 degrees. Let's golf after church." And everybody just waited,
It worked.
and everybody got the green light.
Yeah.
And we played good golf.
How
What a
often
day.
does that happen?
What a day! What a day!
55 degrees in December.
It's perfect.
It was
What a
beautiful.
view. It's
Fall ball. I mean, there was leaves everywhere.
Quarter zip.
But, oh yeah, the
Oh,
quarters.
man.
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
You
yep,
can't
yep.
beat it.
When you get the quarter zip on the course.
Oh, you
it hits
can't
different.
beat it. Okay,
It hits
any other
different.
questions on here, or if anybody else has anything on that,
Yeah, let's do.
Mix it up.
I got one.
go ahead.
All right, this is from the Jordan Bailey,
Okay.
who was a coworker of mine and Ryan's. Shout out,
Hi,
Jordan.
Jordan.
JoJo.
Are there any old school husband and father traits or tropes? By the way, I had to Google the word tropes because I've never heard of that before. Or behaviors that you guys actively try to live against or break?
Well, I'll say
That's a good question.
I'm the active chef in my household. So that kind of goes against like
Yeah.
old school
Yeah.
nature,
Yeah.
I suppose. I try to
Get in the
encourage
kitchen, make me a sandwich. The old school.
mayonnaise.
Bring me a brownie and ice cream.
Waffle fries.
Unforgivable.
Dude, I will say Ryan's lunches look
Dude.
immaculate.
I get just recently some emails from the New York Times recipes, and I made one tonight. It's real good.
Well, we
Brother,
know
cooks
where
with
we're
rye.
going after this.
Yeah,
Can you imagine we do an episode where we just cook with rye?
dude, cook with rye. Let's go. I'd love that too.
That's a good one though.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
You
I
need to play on rye bread. Like,
Ooh.
you need to,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
you need to do something there.
I am the Wonder Bread.
We can.
I see. I like where you're going with that.
Cool.
We're gonna put it right here on the
Back
fridge.
to the question.
Yeah. Going back to it.
So, I mean, okay, that's just anybody else?
Yeah. I would say for me, one of the things that maybe I've seen in past generations is like a hard exterior, non-emotional, non-approachable dad that just kind of comes home and maybe is like this is the line, you know, no tears, no this, no that. I think you could easily swing the opposite way and just be like, you know, not really what I feel like you're called to be. So I'm trying to like live in the middle where it's like, hey, there's a standard to which the Hawks live by, but also like Daddy cries to Bluey episodes. Like it's totally cool.
Yeah, right. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's totally cool. And hey man, like whatever, watch Sleepy Time and call me back.
That is, well,
Yeah, let's not even get into it or I'll lose it here. But also too, and I think like me and my son will have open communication. Well, one, what was really funny about that episode, I was watching with him and tears are kind of like streaming down my face while I'm watching this Bluey episode and he just kind of taps me on the shoulders and he's like, I almost cried too. I was like, okay, bro.
Dad.
Yeah,
It's okay,
I know
Dad.
you're tougher than me. But also just like being in touch of like, hey, like you're angry right now. What are you feeling? Like trying to get to the source of those emotions, not just letting them just kind of fly rampant of like, oh, this is reality. I can act however I want. But like having guardrails to this, be like, okay, like I'm angry. Why am I angry? How can we work through this? And just being in open communication. That's something that I've tried to live out not really well because I'm
tough.
hot-blooded.
Tough.
I come from a hot-blooded family. So there's a lot of apologizing in my parenting to my son where I'm like getting on his level and be like, hey, dude, I ask you not to raise your voice and I raise my voice. Will you forgive me? And, you know, we work through that. So, but yeah, that non-approachable kind of hard, you know, tough, no tear dad, like kind of push against that.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think like I grew up in an environment where I feel like my dad and my grandfather were still very approachable, and I'm not an emotional person. Like I think Taylor's probably seen me cry a couple times.
Oh, you cried when I moved to Portland.
I cried, and
Yeah.
and then like maybe one other time, like I can't even remember. I just don't cry a lot. I'm not a crier. Taylor's like, it's okay, you can cry, and I'm like, I can't. I don't know what to
I
do.
literally don't
I
feel.
literally cannot.
I feel nothing.
Help me.
I'm feeling.
That was
But-
me too, Noah.
but,
I feel
yeah.
that.
But like, so I still think even though my father was this guy that represented toughness and you know, I didn't ever want to cry in front of him. Maybe that's why I didn't ever want to cry in front of him. I remember when I was a little kid and I would cry, and or if I got hurt or something, I'd cry, and they'd be like, "Stop crying," or like my grandpa would be like, "Did it hurt?" And I'd be like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Good," you know. And it's like, "Good," and it's like I just grew up with like tough dad and tough grandpa, and I think that's just the environment I grew up in. But I think I'm gonna try to change how I parent in a way of still having that authoritative figure and build toughness, but I think I might just have to rewire how that works, and kind of adjust some of my own personality traits and try to help guide them the best way I can through life, but while teaching them lessons. And I don't know what that looks like yet. I'm gonna figure that out, but.
Dude, I'm with you.
But I think, I
that
mean,
like resilience, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's to me, it's like it's less of like, oh, you fell down. Does that hurt? And it's more like, like life is going to be hard for you.
you're
Like,
gonna get
how do
knocked
I
down.
put resilience into my kids?
And you want to make it hard for them because you want them to challenge.
Yeah.
You want them to be challenged. You want them to overcome obstacles. You want them to push through things and work through things.
But at the same
and
time, you're
solve
like, I
problems.
just want to hold you and hug
Yeah,
you. Are
yeah,
you
yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's such a tough balance.
Where's that balance? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you discipline your kid and then you go behind doors and you're like, did I do the right thing?
I know, yeah,
You know,
exactly. Yeah.
So,
You go back
I
to your
think,
wife.
I think it
and you're
goes
like,
back to though, like you'll know, like you'll know
Sure.
when they need that love and attention and affection, and you'll also know when they'll need that tough love and
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and I don't want any misconception. Like, my dad was a good dad.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he's
Yeah.
he's a
Tobe's
great
the-
dad.
Tobe's the man.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. But yeah, I mean, it's just I think everybody has a different way of doing things.
And
so.
I think too, it goes back to like working on a team with your spouse, because like there's some things that she wants to implement that I'm not very good at, and I want to implement that maybe that's not her strength as well. And so it's just like working as a team, and two, like the accountability, where I'm like, hey, this is the standard. Me and her agree, like, hey, this is the standard we want for us to live by as a family. And when I live out of that, she's like, yo, bro, like,
Yeah.
that's not what we said,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when she lives out of that,
sure.
I'm like, yo, sis, like, that's not what we said, And so, like, just that teamwork of, like, she will kind of, and she'll celebrate, too. Like, hey, thanks for being, like, honest. Like, that's good. Like, that's good for him to see and good for him to know. I think the answer to that question really leads into this one really well. What's one thing your spouse does as a parent that you wish you could do as well?
I'll say I envy the patience sometimes of my wife.
Amen to that, brother.
yes,
Yeah. Like,
triple A, man.
we ebb and flow, of course, but there's times where my wife just brings like a certain like just loving, caring like attitude. That's really awesome.
Yeah. I would say for mine, man, she is so good about being on their level. Like as a parent, you're above them, you're the authoritative, but it's like the best way to teach them though is to like get on our level, and like anything that she does and she corrects, it's very much like, hey,
Yeah.
and getting on their level. And two, like she's so good at which I think I'm getting better at, because we've talked about it on the podcast before, but she's so present, like in the moment, like so present. Even tonight she's like vacuuming and parenting at the same time, and I'm just like, that's too much going on in one room,
Yeah.
And she's just like, handing colored pencils to one and handing a spoon to the other so they can eat their ice cream. Like, it's just like so present in the moment, and I really envy that.
I'm terrible at multitasking. I try to do one thing really well, one thing at a time, and she's really good at it. So it's like she almost gets into this super mom mode, and every mom has it, I think, and they just like kick in another gear. And they know exactly what they need when they need it, and it's like boom, 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 boom. And I'm just watching in awe, like I can't do that, even though I know what to do. I can't do it. Like I have to ask her, like when Brooks is sick, I have to ask her, hey, how many milliliters does he get here? And she's like, read the bottle. I'm like, yeah, but you're in pediatrics, like you know the answers.
Shoot me straight.
I think that's the thing that's hard for me is she knows a lot. And I just expect her, like I go to her like she's Google a lot.
I go to her like she's Google.
Like she's Google.
I literally text her all the time. I'm like, dude, kids are feeling
I'm like,
this way.
hey, like, yeah. So I think that's just her. She's super mom. She multitasks. I feel like she knows all the answers. She would tell you she doesn't. She's far from that. But I think in my eyes, as a husband and as a dad, it's like mom can do that. Mom fixes this. Mom can get this thing prepared, and I think we're capable of it. We just need to. I don't know if we are.
But now that
There we go. There we go.
I
think
like
you say it out
to
loud.
think that we're capable of it, but I it's so much easier with a mom. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's a stud.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
I was getting ready to go to the next question.
No, bro, you got to
I'm just
answer
gonna
it.
try to skirt
Okay.
around now, huh?
Man, you can't swerve around it.
Not wearing Christmas stuff.
Honestly,
not gonna wanna answer.
mine is kind of similar to Ryan's. Like Kayla's calmness and her approach to like, I don't know if you'd call it adversity or just chaos. Like her presence is just very calming, and I wish I had that skill, and I don't.
Do you think we could get there though? I mean, I'm kind of going back to what you're saying.
collectively.
Could it happen?
Yeah.
I think that's the point of this, right?
collectively.
That's the
Right.
point of this
Yeah.
podcast is we're like,
Yeah.
we are really impatient.
Yeah, I don't think we can by ourselves. Maybe over time, I'd love to get some like old dads
I
in
think
here.
it is the overtime thing, the practice. Like you see it enough, you know. Like my wife even like encourages me.
Because there's things that like my wife probably wishes she had, you know, that I have. Because it's like a lot of times when she's trying to get them to like, let's say, get ready for school, and she tells them, she has to tell them 10 times. I come in the room and I tell them one time and they do it right that second.
Yeah, it's
Because
different.
they respect me. They respect her
don't
too,
respect-
but it's a different. It's like
a different,
yeah, it's different.
Yeah, when my dad, it was always like, wait till your dad gets home, and it's like, oh,
yeah. She pulls that card a lot.
no,
It's
no,
like, and a lot of times I become
like,
the bad guy. You know,
can
I'm
I
like,
go to grandma's?
yeah. So there's a trade off there.
There
It's
is.
like
Yeah, for
I
sure.
wish I had a little bit of her patience. She probably wishes she had a little bit of my like respect, fear type thing. So,
Reverence.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a reverence. Yep.
Cool. So whether you are a new dad, a dad that's well in his heyday, a dad that's in his prime, a dad that's wishing the smudges were back on the windows, wherever you find yourself, we hope that today was encouraging to you. We hope you have an awesome holiday. We hope that you find those moments and you don't try to rush past them because they're chaotic, but take a moment, sit in it, because today it just may not happen ever again. And so super thankful for you guys. Thankful for this. Thankful for this podcast. It's so encouraging to hear y'all's life and the things you struggle with or you're working through, because it helps me be a better dad. So
We're better
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah,
Better together.
Share it, review,
like it,
share it with your friends. Hopefully it
subscribe,
helps
follow us on
somebody out.
Instagram. That's where all the good content goes, obviously. Hey, thanks for joining. This is For the Dads.
Love y'all.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.